Hello everybody, I'm back, this time in Atlanta. I have told you all that I wanted to return to what I believe to be Atlantis, as we will rise again, to bust up bogus HIV worldwide. I am here now at the High Museum on Peachtree Street. As you can see, the African artwork, our history, is placed in the back of the library at the very bottom. This is typical in many libraries, as I have traveled in Europe as a teenager, and of course Bobby Hemmett's presentation about the Moors that was done in London when he toured through that museum and found all of our artifacts in the basement of the museum. This is very shameful to me worldwide, as we are the progenitors of culture and civilization on this planet. Here we see the Moor. The Moors civilized Europe. Now, I want you, first of all, to indulge me for the entire time. I am on a long walk that will culminate somewhere. As I have told you, I am all about action. Please stay with me. Should my finger hit the button, as I am using a cell phone, as I have done all of my presentations, because when you wait for others to help you, you will wait, sometimes forever. So, as my father has stated, as I told you when I was in Bessemer, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. Believing in yourself, believing that you have a voice and that you can make a difference. Now, if you'll stay with me today, I want to show you, first of all, before I head down Peachtree to our destination, the front of the High Museum. It is quite beautiful over here. Here in Midtown Atlanta. I'm recently back in town. I have moved to the suburbs, Douglasville. However, the energy of the city here is quite different from where I was in Birmingham. There are many more people, things move a lot faster, and there's a lot more going on, and a lot more opportunity to reach a lot more people. I'm going to move around quickly to the front of the museum and show you the ads that they have here. This week, they're doing the Making Africa, a continent of contemporary design. Now, I may have to break this presentation up into several parts. As you see, I am on Peachtree. It is a busy day, and there is traffic. And I do not want you to not be able to hear all that I have to say regarding busting up bogus HIV. Right across the street from the High Museum is the public library. I spent many an hour in this library as I was in grad school at that time, and still am. As well, I began teaching metaphysics in that library. I used to go around town and post flyers and have people come so that I could present my metaphysics of self-healing. I have been in the business of exposing this crisis for quite a long time, and I want you to know that I am committed to busting up bogus HIV worldwide, and starting here in Atlanta, where friends have been calling me and telling me that every other day on the news you can see that they are saying that mostly gay black men are now being diagnosed HIV positive. Now you know what that means. Just like I have always stated, I'll continue to say here right now, that everywhere many black people live, bogus HIV testing is ramped up, often using black women who are health and human services type majors in college, where they go to recruit these ladies, and then they send them out into our communities, just as I have posted, like there are Planned Parenthood offices on the corners of our neighborhoods, as well are HIV clinics. And this is doing nothing but routing our people into a death campaign, disguising murder as philanthropy. We have already discussed that bogus HIV is about genocide, eugenics, control of world populations, and domination through sexual fear. And we are busting it up worldwide. Now, as I pass people, of course, I am looking like a bit of a spectacle. But I do believe that the gods are rising again. And that bogus HIV testing is all about identifying in our DNA what they deem necessary to call us HIV positive and then set about killing us with toxic drugs that block the synthesis of DNA at the mitochondrial energy center, powerhouse of the cell, and debilitates and kills people. Now, before I left Atlanta, I moved back to where the pain set in. I've told you all about that, right in Birmingham, Alabama, where I was only a sophomore in college. A sophomore in college, a young man just about to start life, when we heard the devastating news of that on the television. Devastating my life from that moment forward. And years later, receiving that bogus diagnosis that catapulted my life downhill, and many others. As I watched my close friends and associates die, not knowing then what I know now, what I have known for many years, it was horrible, as you might imagine. Just think right now of the people you know who have been impacted by this bogus disease. People perhaps even in your own family who are no longer with us. I have also attempted to charge you to ask forgiveness because we have all been miseducated about this issue. Then the stereotypes, all the false teachings we now know that we've learned in religion, calling people abominations, rejecting people who receive this diagnosis, knowing that fear is the deadliest killer, along with the toxic medications. We pushed those people out and sped their death. I have also shared with you and written in my book about my friend Everett Rachel. Everett Rachel was a National Merit finalist in high school. A pre-med student later decided he no longer wanted to do that line of work because he didn't like the sight of blood. And he dropped out of medical school, moved to Atlanta, became over the testing department at Roche Biomedical Laboratories, and later all of his friends, including myself, learned that he had received that diagnosis and he was seeing a psychiatrist. Just imagine what the combination of all those drugs did to his body. I'll tell you what they did. They killed him, just like they killed his brother who died within a 2-week period. And everybody was wailing at the funeral. I've also spoken about that. How people come to these funerals and they want to start wailing because they know they were not there for their beloveds when they really needed them. Now I need to catch my breath for a minute. I'm going to stand here. Again, the camera presentations typically allow you a 30-minute block to get everything in one piece. I'm not certain that I'll be able to make it, as I've got about just as much of a walk as I just took left to go before I arrive at my destination. Now, I'm hoping today, and I want to remind you that just like Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and everybody else who stood up for what was right, they ended up arrested. I hope that doesn't happen to me. I'm not looking forward to that. What I will do, though, is like I always do. I go in calmly, professionally, politely, and seek answers. You know, it's unfortunate that so many people are aware of this truth, even some of the master teachers and others who are not doing more about this crisis that has murdered 36.1 million people to date since 1984. And nobody is doing anything about it. Everybody wants to talk about it. Everybody wants to get an audience all worked up. But none of them doing like I'm doing, because I'm the one living through it. I'm the one whose penis has been cut off. My sexual freedom was gone long ago. I've been on Facebook screaming about it, yelling about it, trying to get some sort of attention, and I can't even get a click like. How ridiculous is that? When you know that you know somebody impacted by this bogus disease. I don't appreciate it. And I don't think I need to hide saying that. We cannot create change if we do not take action. I'm rounding the corner as we come into Buckhead. I also spoke to you about passing by this place quite a lot because I lived right down the street. And every time I looked up there, it would make my stomach turn. I remember all those years ago when I discovered an organization that I believe was trying to help us called A Deeper Love. I went to that event and sat around the corporate table there, waited for my turn to speak, and shared my feelings. And the guy running that group told me that it was not the place to discuss that issue. And again, I had just met a guy in the parking lot whom, incidentally, I sold all of my furniture when I decided to leave Atlanta to him because he needed things. He was already experiencing the rejection of having received that diagnosis. And his tongue was split in half down the middle like a lizard or a snake. That's how sinister this is. In Africa, again, gynecomastia is prevalent, rampant. Black men growing breasts from taking those drugs, thinking that they're helping them. Now somebody's sitting back laughing at all of this. Somebody is sitting back laughing at how stupid we appear to be, given the truth being placed right in our face. Now, I am down here on the corner, very near the place where I'm going. I want to show you it back there. I am on Peachtree in the Jewish temple complex there. Inside there is 8 Atlanta. I spent a little bit of time in 8 Atlanta. The guy over that, you know, every time you go in a bar and you open a gay publication, you see sometimes an ad about people that I guess they consider upstanding in the black gay community, and he's one of them. He's over some portion of 8 Atlanta. In fact, it was him when I went inside to talk to him about this issue years ago, who sent me off to another organization. At the time, I was happy, but I didn't realize it was where they send people like me just to give them a voice and make them feel like they're making a difference. While there, I participated, say 2 or 3 times. I did hands-on activities, teaching chakra awareness, teaching them that they create their illnesses through their own ill states of consciousness, having them body trace each other, place those spheres on the body chart. And in the middle of it all, one of their employees walked in and interrupted my event, challenged me, challenged my credentials. I was so embarrassed and taken aback by the whole thing, as the guy who allowed me to be there understood fully what I was all about. Matter of fact, he had received that diagnosis. He's one of those guys like many of you, always in the gym, trying to counteract the effects of those toxic drugs. But anyway, he had to stop that guy and apologize to me in front of everyone. And I went away from there and stopped by the liquor store, as I often did when I never spoke up for myself, which I don't have a problem with that anymore. If I have something to say, it's going to be heard. And you know that. But anyway, at the event, I went away from there feeling so bad because I had not observed my own principle, which is to respect yourself at the solar plexus chakra. Sometimes you have to stand up and say no and take back your power. So I vowed from that very day that I would never allow that to happen to me again, and I have not. Excuse me as I let this car come by. Now I'm making my way down here, and I'm gonna have to get across the street over here with all this traffic going on. Let's see how we are on time. 15 minutes, that should be enough. We have been trying to get to the bottom of this. Now, you know I'm a serious Bobby Hemmett student, and on many of his presentations, as we have all been allowed access to the longer, full, and complete presentations as he traveled about this country, teaching, discussing, sharing, and in many of those, he mentioned that HIV is bogus. He broke it down. He even shared how at one time 75,000 Africans were being murdered, and it was being called AIDS. AIDS. And when those people in Africa died from what they always died from since colonization, which is poor nutrition, dysentery, malaria, the normal things that they were dying from. And now, here we are at the Jewish Temple Complex, which houses Aid Atlanta. Now, I'm gonna go in just seeking information about the statistics. It's likely that they'll tell me, you know, you don't have an appointment, you're not allowed to film in here or whatever, and I'll abide that. But today, I'm gonna do what needs to be done. I want my sexual freedom back. I want my penis back. I post a picture of the lynchings where the black man is hanging and tied to a tree with the pants down around his ankles and his penis has been cut off. Well, even though I'm still alive, that is how I feel. This is a day in and day out drudgery. Ongoing trauma. Anytime I want to be intimate or meet someone or date someone or perhaps have a relationship with someone, the first thing I've learned that I have to discuss is that I received that bogus diagnosis. And why? Because mostly black men all over this country have been in prison for this disease. I also mentioned that I worked for the Office of Medical and Scientific Justice, OMSJ, headed by Clark Baker, and have many scientists, professionals who have freed up to 53 people to date. But that company, again, has folded because of financial reasons. It's hard to go up against a pharmaceutical company. I can't tell you how many attorneys I talked to who just turned me away and told me, you know, hey, it's never gonna happen. You don't have enough money, because they bleed you and us dry, and we can't let that happen. Well, you know what? I'm still gonna sue somebody. I told you I traveled up here to Atlanta before I moved back, and I went right into that doctor's office. He wasn't there, but I left a book, and I spoke to his receptionist about who I was and what I was about. It is time for my justice and recompense, and I'm gonna go ahead and head in now and hope for the best. Here we are, going up the stairs to Aid Atlanta. Hi. Yes. How are you all?
Hello, how are you?
I'm fantastic.
How can I help you today?
I'm Dr. Laster. I'm here to see Keith Washington. Is he in? Is he still the head of the organization?
Craig Washington?
Craig Washington.
Yeah, but he was never the head of the organization.
Oh.
He also no longer works here.
He no longer works here. Who does now? Who's taking his place?
That program is no longer in existence.
Okay.
So there's no one that took his place.
Okay, but Aid Atlanta still functions?
Yes.
I am the conscious doctor. And I get a lot of calls as I have just moved back to Atlanta, having spent my entire adult life here, and watch my friends die. They are calling me saying every other day on the news the numbers of HIV infected people in Atlanta have gone up. Is that correct?
The infection rates? Oh no, you're not going to